Karin Sharma, you're an author, you're a lecturer and an intercultural specialist.
Yes.
What are your main topics?
Mainly it's about intercultural communication and many issues within that field. So it can be diversity, it can be questions about reducing misunderstandings, it can be intercultural leadership, cooperation internationally, many different topics within the field of intercultural communication.
How did you start?
Well, probably it has something to do with my own background, because my father was a refugee, and when he once said that we could have ended up in a different country than the one I was raised in, I already started thinking, how would I have been if I had grown up there instead? So I think that was a start. But then I didn't think about it that much until I myself moved at the age of 16 and was really struck in a negative way by the experience of not being prepared. And I reacted very strongly, and I used a lot of stereotypes, and I thought, of course, that I was right in my experience. And then I moved again. And then moving the second time in that way, leaving everything in just a one-way ticket, that made me start to think, well, wait a minute, what depends on the country, the culture, the politics, the economics? What is psychological, what is my parents, and what is me? And that thought was very interesting to me. But I was at the time going to become a marine biologist, and I like to think in a scientific manner. But then I discovered the field of intercultural communication, and suddenly it all came together. That was exactly what I wanted to do, because it was a scientific field, studying behavior and studying intercultural communication.
Who are your customers?
Mostly it's, of course, organizations and companies that are trying to establish some international cooperation, but it can be also within an organization that they have many employees with different backgrounds. I work a lot, for instance, with courses for officers, can be civilian, military, or police, attending UN courses in Sweden, but preparing them for international assignments and cooperating among all these cultures. I find that like a very interesting and fruitful challenge. But it can also be rescue workers, and it can be people within the health services, like Médecins Sans Frontières, the Doctors Without Borders. Yes, it can be a variety of different situations. It can be, like I say, a small company even, but that has a great need to be effective in their intercultural communication around the world.
But you do lectures both in Swedish and English?
Yes.
Any other language?
Yes, in Spanish as well. Not as much, but it happens, yes.
You just recently released a new book. Tell me about it.
That's right, yes. I wrote a book in the 90s in Swedish, which was just based on my lectures. And then after 13 years, the editor asked me if I could make a renewed version of it, which I did in 2011. And then came the question, how about something in English? So I was about to just make a translation of it, but I realized when I started translating that that was not possible, because the Swedish is a very compact way of expressing oneself, and in English that made no sense. So I had to put the Swedish version aside and make an English version. And so it's much longer and has some parts that the others don't have.
Who do you see need your book?
Well, most people who are concerned about what is the special thing about cultures. I mean, many people like to look at cultures from one point of view only. And I hope more and more people would see that that doesn't work. That's going to create very serious counter reactions, because that's imposing one view on others. So you really have to do all the effort to shift to a different perspective to understand other cultures. And once you get the hang of that, it's very enriching.
What do you want your listeners to think and feel when they have listened to you?
Mostly I would hope that they can reflect on things from more perspectives than before they listen to me, and that they start to experience that doing so is a lot more fruitful than coming to your usual conclusions. That by doing so you suddenly widen your perspectives and start to solve problems in a different way. And you invite aspects of reality that when you're just within one cultural frame of thinking are outside of your common sense.
Do you have any mission in life?
Yes, I think I do. And to me, the main question driving me from the beginning was the question of how can we understand anything at all? And the next step to that was, what is the structure of understanding? And from there on, what are unnecessary misunderstandings? Can we talk about that? Now my main concern is more about sense and common sense, and how come sense matters so much. So yeah, I do think I'm on a line, on a mission here. If I see that I can improve some understandings, I'd like to be there as a consultant. If I cannot add anything, then I'd like to withdraw.